So a combination of working with people in a rural setting, mental well-being and the arts led me to thinking about how we can combine all of those things to create a project that ended up being Farm Music. Farm Music, which is about men exploring found objects in sheds, garages, paddocks there, and pulling them together and creating sound with them.
The sweet spot. What is the sweetest spot on this thing that we're hitting? I think we're listening, when we make a sound, we're listening to the object that we're making the sound with. If you can attend to the physical process behind the sound that can make the sound a byproduct of your physical process instead of fixating too much on the sound itself. That way I think the sound can be quite effortless and quite a natural result of what is really actually just a physical activity.
So the 5 ways to wellbeing are connecting is a key one that I've talked about, taking notice, and an example of that came through when people were learning skills about the sounds that you could get out of any things, looking for objects that might make the sound, so those sorts of things. We're taking notice in the small things around us. I talked to keeping on learning. Another component is giving and connecting, giving of your time, or also listening to others and just being part of a space together, and giving of your skills and those sorts of things. And a final one is about being active and getting out and about, and I think any opportunity for people to an example of going through the sheds and rummaging through and being part of a process where we're moving is really, really important.
So Bridget, you've been responsible for the sound sculpture here at Farm Music. Did it take much organising?
There was quite a bit of organising, but then there was also a lot of just letting it kind of happen and waiting to see what would kind of come out on the day, which I think was a really good approach, because what we've got is probably way better than could have been imagined.
And so obviously you're happy with what you've got?
Yeah, it's really amazing, and it was actually a really fun process to put the whole thing together, because it was quite a group process of all the participants and myself and Sally all kind of working together, which was really nice.
And when you've seen people listening and watching and seen their reactions, has that made it all worthwhile?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm really happy with how many people have come and how willing everybody is to jump in and have a try. It's been really cool to watch.
Do you feel that when people have been playing things, there's a collectiveness about it, there's a group cohesion?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's sort of times where everybody's listening mostly to themselves, and then other times where they're really taking a moment to listen to those around them. So I think it's the whole piece kind of has this really natural evolution, which is pretty cool.
So what have you liked hitting the most so far today here at Farm Music?
My favourite part was kind of these cylindrical things that had so when you wave the stick up and down, it made this really cool noise, and I loved hitting the top and bottom at the same time because it was hollow and it made a really cool noise.
And how did it make you feel hitting these different things?
It made me feel really cool, like you can kind of feel it inside you just vibrating. It's really cool.
So, as someone who's just come along to Farm Music this afternoon, how did you find it?
I thought it was really quite exhilarating, as much as anything. I just love the whole freedom of not having to worry about conventional instrumentation and things.
What was my impression of it?
Yeah.
Well, quite frankly, it was very good indeed. It was unexpectedly good. What I really enjoyed was the interaction that it engendered between the performers and the audience, who then became the participants as well. So it was a great exercise.
I think obviously it's quite fun just to go and hit a whole lot of things and make a sound from them. But seeing a whole lot of different people go and do that and have a good time and launch into just making music together is a really cool thing to see.
And how did it make you feel?
Definitely I feel a lot more awake than I did about an hour ago. I was feeling a bit kind of sleepy. But also made me really interested in what other people are doing, like really listening for what else other people are playing too.
Does it make you feel like part of a collective?
Yeah, definitely. You know, like I'm really like, what's that person doing there? And when someone else kind of comes alongside you and plays with you, that's a really cool feeling.
Like it's a release. It's just vibrant and buzzing, and it was good.
Did it make you feel part of a collective, part of a group, hearing the different people play as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It would be a very different sound if it was just me there on my own. To be part of something, absolutely, making music or making sound, very different experience. Don't think I've ever done something like that before.
And we also played a beautiful piece of music. Like, I was so thrilled by our improvised piece of music, how it developed and just how sensitive and listening we were in the ensemble, but also in the audience. It was just such a lovely encapsulation of the listening component of the whole project, which for me is so important.
So, as one of the participants, now that we're here at Farm Music and we've just done a performance, how was it?
Oh, quite nerve-wracking actually, but once we sort of got into it and you could it was feeding off all of the other people that were involved in it. You know, you could feel them slowly walking around from one item to the other and having their own explore, and you'd sort of lose the nerves because you'd start to tune in to what they were doing and start to respond, and I think a lot more of that went on as time went on in the performance.
Do you think that being part of the collective, being part of everyone doing it once, took you outside of yourself and made you feel more of a group?
Absolutely it did, yeah. That's the overwhelming feeling I got from the experience, really.
So as one of the participants that's been through the workshops for Farm Music, now that we're here on the day, how have you found it?
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's been great to see everyone sort of get involved and just try it out.
And how's it made you feel being able to hit the different things?
Yeah, great. It's not often you get to go out and hit things, without getting in trouble, of course. It's just great. Watching people get into it and just really enjoying themselves.
And when you've been hitting things, do you feel part of something larger, part of a collective, because other people are playing?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so do you stop and then play with them, or take notice of the things that they're doing as well?
Yeah, totally.
So many of those things we used, the word resonated with me through this and getting the stuff out. And also is all the magic of whoever used those tools at some other point in time, what their DNA is doing to that piece of equipment.
And 2 days later, Sally kind of emails me and says, "Oh, we've got this project, we're looking for a sculptor. I think perhaps Chris or one of you had seen some work that I'd done before." And I was definitely looking for a project, so it was quite convenient timing. And then, through kind of having a chat with these guys and hearing what the project was about and the kind of kaupapa behind it, I was really, I just straight away was like, that sounds really cool.
So, Chris, the first farm music has just finished. How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling a little bit euphoric, I have to say. Yeah, it was a fabulous afternoon. A wonderful turnout, so really well attended, and the installation just exceeded my wildest dreams. Remarkably close to my initial sort of blue sky ideal dreaming about what it might look like. So that's really fun, and some beautiful sounding instruments. The gate, the gate on with the sounding board was truly incredible.
And what do you think the participants got out of it?
I think they got an experience of the magic of listening in a musically inspired kind of way, and that's I feel like they had a taste of the power of that experience. So that's amazing.
A lot of them have also mentioned the collective feeling of being part of something bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
And I suppose that feeds into also what you're talking about as well.
Yeah. Collective listening. This is it. When we're all in the same space, having the same experience and listening, and experiencing the listening in a collective way, it's very powerful.
But it's also about paying attention not just to your sound. Someone else is making a sound. How do I make my sound fit in with their sound, and being considerate of those things as well? And that was part of the feeling that was in the room as well.
Yes, that's the powerful thing. Where I don't know, maybe sometimes it's interesting to think about it like our sense of self actually expands to incorporate all of the participants, and when we're listening from that perspective, we can experience the benefits of that expansion, of self. It's really powerful.
So Sally, as producer of Farm Music, the event is in the pack-up stage.
Yep.
How did it go?
It was kind of exactly everything that I had hoped for from the event, which is pretty amazing for a first time out of the box project. And the reasons, I guess, that I feel what I saw in the room today were the participants really growing and in confidence, and people performing that a few weeks ago would never have gotten up and performed in front of even us as a group, and speaking out, and from a participant side I just saw a lot of really beautiful growth actually, and confidence and joy, and for me that was that's all I needed. But then we also had an audience who came in, and I saw a lot of people once they got their heads around the kind of the concept of can we actually just hit things and have a go and be noisy and be kind of playful and creative, once they sort of felt they had that permission, then they went for it, and it was really, there were some lovely moments where it was just the kind of cacophony of noise where people were just having a good time, and I don't feel like we get those sort of opportunities enough, really.
A lot of the participants also mentioned about the collective feel of the space, and that it wasn't just them making music, they were aware of what other people were doing, and it built a community of sound as such. Is that something you noticed as well?
Oh, absolutely, because I think, particularly starting out on a project like this with found objects and things, if you're one person with a stick and a pot, you feel a bit naff, right? and you remember the early workshops. It's kind of like, I'm just hitting this thing, but when you put that into led by someone like Chris, and you put it into a group of other people who are exploring different sounds, different rhythms, different approaches to how they strike things or play things or whatever, then it does create music. It creates a kind of music, but individually that's not the case. So it really is that beautiful, the sum of the parts is the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. That's what I mean.
And so I think you've answered this, but it met all your expectations, ticked all the boxes that you wanted to achieve?
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really pleased with today, and I loved that one of the audience members, when we had our Q&A, sort of asked, well, what next? That's what she wanted to know. And I think for all the participants kind of going, we didn't really know how this was going to turn out, but now we know, we can go forward with some confidence and excitement kind of into the next stage of the project, whatever that is, and we don't know yet. And I want to meet with the group as a whole again to kind of say, hey, what bits did you like, and what do you want to do moving forwards, and how do we want to take this out to the world. Our wonderful partners, Reset 2020, Access Radio Taranaki, the Taranaki Retreat, the Taranaki Rural Support Trust, and of course our funders, Creative New Zealand.